Okay, shout out from West Virginia. Are you ready for Joke of the Day? I'm sure you are, because Joke of the Day is the best part of the day. Let's do this. So, why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Okay, well, let's take a stand in inequality symbols. So what we need to understand about inequality symbols, these are the symbols that look like this. And oftentimes people get them confused. Now there are names that go with these symbols, like for instance, this is the symbol greater than. And this is the symbol less than. Which means this is the symbol greater than or equal to, keyword being equal, or keyword being than, keyword being or. And this is the symbol less than or equal to. Again, keyword being or. We'll get to that in a minute. So there are names that go with these, and a lot of people get the names confused, and quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, the names are not that important, because they can have entirely different names in different languages and so forth. What is important that you understand what the symbol actually means. And what this symbol means is it's an ordering concept. And the way that I think about it is the big end of the symbol goes with the big number. The small end of the symbol goes with the small number. And if you keep that straight, these inequality symbols are very easy to work with. Like I said, small n goes with the small number, and the big N goes with the big number. Now, in order to figure out which is the bigger number, think of this real number line that you see right here. In your real number line, the origin is at the 0, and everything to the right is going to be your positive numbers. And you know with the positive numbers that as you head to the right, you're getting bigger. 3 is bigger than 2, 4 is bigger than 3, 5 is bigger than 4. So as you head in this direction, everything gets bigger. And as you head in this direction, everything gets smaller. Which you may be thinking, well, that's pretty elementary when it comes to this side of the number line. But here's where people get confused on the negative end of the number line. They fully understand that any of these negative numbers are definitely going to be smaller than any of these positive numbers. But when you get to the negative end of the number line and you're trying to order all the negative numbers, it gets confusing because you would think that a -4 would be bigger than a -2. After all, a 4 is bigger than a 2. But as you're going in this direction, and we've talked about the sets of numbers and how they're created, that you take this unit and you flip that unit back this way. You take this unit, this double unit, and you flip it back that way. So even though the unit itself you have to think about the unit itself is what I'm getting at. So in other words, these 2 units are smaller than these 4 units. So as you go back in this direction, everything is getting smaller. And as you go in this direction, everything is getting better. So on the negative end of the number line, it's counter to what you would think. A -4 is actually going to be smaller than a -2. So let's work with these inequality symbols. And again, the biggest thing that you need to remember, as you go to the right on the number line, things are getting bigger. As you go to the left on the number line, things are getting smaller. So let's work with these inequality symbols a little bit to see how this goes. So in these first 4 examples, what we're going to do is insert either a greater than or a less than to make the statement true. And in the first one, we're comparing a -3 to a +13. Well, here's that number line. Here's the 0. Here's all those positive numbers. Here's all those negative numbers. And remember, as you go to the right, it gets bigger. So the 13 is going to be bigger than that -3. And again, big N goes with the big number, small n with the small number. So I'm going to put my inequality symbol in this way. Yes, that is the less than symbol, but I care more that you know what it means. Small n with a small number, big N with a big number. So now let's take a look at this one. 6.7 compared to a -12.5. Again, that -12.5 is going to sit down here. The 6.7 is going to sit up here. Everything over here is bigger. Everything down here is smaller. So the small end is going to go with the small number. Big end with the big number, small end with the small number. Aha, here we get to those tricky ones, that -1, that -3. Remember, as you go this direction, you're going to go -1, -2, -3. And as you go in that direction, things are getting smaller. So the -3 is actually going to be smaller than the -1. So I want the small end of my inequality symbol to go with the small number. -3 is smaller than a -1, less than a -1. Now when it comes to fractions, we can take this and we can section them off and we can figure out those sections, but one of the easiest way to compare fractions is to do what we call cross multiply. So what happens with that cross multiplication is, I'm going to take that 6/7, I'm going to take that 9/10, and I'm going to multiply this way. And I'm going to say 6 times 10 is 60, and then I'm going to multiply this way, and 7 times 9 is a 63. Now, as far as a 60 and a 63 goes, 63 is bigger than a 60. So if this side is bigger, that means this fraction is bigger. And so my inequality symbol is going to go this way. That's how it works with fractions. All you have to do is cross multiply, and then whichever fraction has the bigger multiplication product, that fraction is going to be the bigger fraction. So let's take a look, and that's the less than symbol, and this is the less than symbol, but like I keep saying, what I care more about is that you understand what those symbols mean. So now let's take a look at these 3 examples. We're just simply going to answer, is this statement true or false? This statement says a -8 greater than or equal to an 8, or -8 bigger. Big ends with that. -8 bigger than a +8. Well, -8 sits on this side. +8 sits on this side. Bigger goes this way. So the +8 is going to have to be bigger than the -8. This is clearly not right because the symbol should go like this. So that means this one is false. Now this one says 0 less than or equal to 0. Well, this is a little confusing. And this is where I said the key operative word back here was or. Because or means one or the other. They don't have to both be true. Only one of them needs to be true to make the whole thing true. Either greater than, if it comes up to be greater than, good, it's true. If it comes up to be equal to, great, it's true. Same thing over here. If it's less than, fantastic, it's true. If it's equal to, fantastic, it's true. It does not have to satisfy both of them. Only one of those conditions needs to be satisfied. So let's go back and look at this again. That says 0 less than 0. Now clearly 0 is not, it says 0 less than or equal to 0. Clearly 0 is not less than 0. If that was it, it would be false. If this was what we had, the statement would be false. But that's not what we have. We have this or equal to part. And remember, satisfying either condition is perfectly okay. Is 0 equal to 0? Yes, it certainly is. 0 is 0. And that's what's making this a true statement. Okay, here we have fractions again, and we discovered up here the best way to compare fractions is to do that cross multiplication, but we have negatives in them. That negatives can sit up on the numerator, down on the denominator, or out front. It doesn't really matter whether you put it up on the numerator or down on the denominator. Just don't put it in both places, because if you put it in both places, suddenly your fraction is no longer negative, it's positive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that the negative up there with the numerator. That's what most people do. Put it up here on the numerator with this one. And now once again I'm going to cross multiply. When I multiply this way, 2 times a -2 is going to be a -4. And when I multiply this way, 3 times a -1 is going to be a -3. And now I'm going to look at these and I'm going to say, okay, that -4, like I said, it's going to sit back here. The -3 is going to sit up here. And so that means the -3 is bigger than that -4. And so therefore, this side over here is bigger. That -1/2 is going to be bigger than that -2/3. And that's the way it's written. Big ends with that side, small ends with that side. And again, the equal to part, it's okay. I need to satisfy one of the conditions. One of the conditions has been satisfied, so this is a true statement. So, I hope that this helps with the inequality symbols. And like I said, big thing to understand is the big end goes with the big number, the small end goes with the small number. Yes, it's nice if you understand that this is greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. But what's critical is understanding what's written down here and understanding that this operative word or means satisfy one of the conditions, and you don't have to satisfy both. And as you go to the right on the number line, your numbers are going to get bigger. I hope that helps. Have a great day.